all are doing very good. So we are continuing the PYQ marathon, and this is part 2, the second set of 10 questions, right? We have completed the first 10, and here goes the second set of 10 questions. And here goes the very first question. Very first question. In the given figure, which component has thin outer walls and highly thickened inner walls? Come on, children. Is it D or A or B or C? Don't confuse the existing option with the marked options. Be careful. Ready, everybody? Your time starts 3, 2, 1 right now. I hope you have the answers with you. And here goes the answer. It's option D. C is the answer. See? Yes. Yeah. Whenever they gain water, they become turgid and the flexible outer walls stretch. Yeah. And the inner walls stay firm. That causes the stomata to open. When they lose water, the cells shrink and close the stomata. Yes. Next question. HIND2 always cuts DNA molecules at a particular point called recognition sequence, and it consists of 6 base pairs, 4 base pairs, 10 base pairs, 8 base pairs. HIND2, okay? Your time starts 3, 2, 1 right now. Okay, here is the answer. 6 base pairs, right? These are nothing but the restriction enzymes, right? So they will cut the DNA at a specific sequence, and it's a palindromic sequence, right? AAGCTT, right? So the forward and the backward strands, if you see, if you read it from forward and backward, it'll be the same. That's why we call it palindromic sequences. So the answer is 6 base pairs. And of course, HIND2 is one of the useful restriction enzymes in DNA cloning sequencing and other molecular biology techniques. 13th question. Identify the type of flowers based on the position of calyx, corolla, and androsium with respect to the ovary from figure A and B. Okay, option A hypogynous, B, epigynous. Option B, A, perigynous, B, epigynous. C, A, perigynous, B, perigynous. D, A, epigynous, B, hypogynous. Ready, everybody? Look at the picture. The picture is very clear. There is no doubt about it. So come on, pick your answer. 3, 2, 1. Your time starts now. Write down the answer fast. Great. So the answer is both are perigynous, obviously. So when the ovary and the other parts are at the same position, right, you call it perigynous, right? In hypogynous, you have a superior ovary. Yeah. In epigynous, if you see, you have an inferior ovary. In superior ovary, all other parts will be below the ovary, right? In case of epigynous, all other parts will be on top of the ovary. Correct. The thalamus will enclose the, fuse the ovary completely in case of epigynous. So I have added the answer. Yeah. Floral parts are attached below the ovary means they have a superior ovary in case of hypogynous. Correct. Like in the buttercup and all. And epigynous floral parts are above the ovary. The ovary is inferior. Okay. Whereas in perigynous, the floral parts are at the same level as that of the ovary as shown in the given picture. Right. Yes, so both are very clear, and don't I feel that most of the students will confuse it with epigynous, since they might think option A is like an inferior ovary. No, in case of an inferior ovary, the thalamus will completely enclose the ovary. Okay, on top of it you can see all other parts, but this is not the case, right? Here it's very clear, it is perigynous. So both are perigynous. Yeah, that's the right answer. Which of the following is an example of actinomorphic flower? For that, you have to know the meaning of actinomorphic. So, come on, it's an easy question. A. Cassia, B. Pisum, C. Sesbania, D. Datura. Your time starts 3, 2, 1 right now. Great, here goes the answer, Datura. Student, what is actinomorphic flower? A flower which shows radial symmetry, right? So it can be divided into 2 equal halves along multiple planes. At any plane if you cut, they will give you 2 equal halves. Datura is one such case. Whereas if you take Cassia, Pisum and Sesbania, all these are zygomorphic, meaning they are bilaterally symmetrical. That is, only in one specific plane they will give you 2 equal halves. Correct? So the answer is Datura. Which one of the following is not a criterion for classification of fungi? Mode of nutrition, mode of spore formation, fruiting body, morphology of mycelium. Your time starts again easy. Question 3, 2, 1 right now. Not a criterion. Whenever there is a not, pay attention. Very good. I hope many of you might have noted the answer. The answer is mode of nutrition. Children, the criteria, if you see, is mostly based on the reproductive parts. Correct? Which is mode of spore formation, fruiting body and morphology of mycelium. Yeah, so the classification focuses majorly on the reproductive structures and not the mode of nutrition. Of course, they are heterotrophic in mode of nutrition, but during classification, these other aspects are considered and not mode of nutrition. Okay? Yes. Next one. The equation of Verhulst-Pearl logistic growth is this. Do you agree? Okay. From this equation, they are asking you what is K. K indicates biotic potential, carrying capacity, population density, intrinsic rate of natural increase. 3, 2, 1, right? Now your time starts. Okay, so the answer is carrying capacity. Student, what is this Verhulst-Pearl logistic growth model? So basically, the model is trying to say that the population growth isn't unlimited and it depends on the environment's capacity, is what it is saying, which means there are only limited resources. Correct. So that is what is the model explaining. And this in this equation, the K stands for carrying capacity, which is the max stands for maximum number of individuals the environment can support. So K is carrying capacity. Which one of the following can be explained on the basis of Mendel's law of dominance? Okay, which one of the following can be explained on the basis of Mendel's law? Out of one pair of factors, one is dominant and the other one is recessive. Alleles do not show any expression and both the characters appears as such in F2 generation. Factors occur in pairs in normal diploid plants. The discrete unit controlling a particular character is called factor. The expression of only one of the parental character is found in a monohybrid cross. Choose the correct answer from the option. Okay, so based on the law of dominance, they have given certain statements and they are asking you which is true with respect to Mendel's law of dominance. Okay, is it A, C, D and E only, B, C and D only, A, B, C, D and E, A, B and C only? What do you think? I'll give you few more time so that you can go through the options carefully. Your time starts 3, 2, 1 right now. Yes, so the answer is going to be A, C, D and E only, the statement. Whereas if you see other statements, A, of course, dominant allele is the one which gets expressed in the masked other one. The masked one, we call it recessive. Statement C, if you see, of course, the alleles exist in pairs in diploid organisms. Alleles always exist in pairs, right? And statement D, the factor refers to nothing but the gene. That is also right. And E, in a monohybrid cross, only the dominant traits appears in F1 and the recessive trait appears in the second generation only when it receives both the allele as recessive ones, right? So all the other statements are very true, but except B. Next one. Match list 1 with list 2. Choose the correct answer from the options given below. Rhizopus, Aspilago, Pasinia and Agaricus, and 2 are very famous, so you can match the 2 and try finding the options. List 2, mushroom, smut fungus, bread mold and rust fungus. Yeah, so pick the right option, A, B, C, D, you can see, match them and pick the right answer. First match them, write it in your sheet and then pick the right answer to avoid confusion for match the following. Okay, for all the 4 you match it, write it in your answer sheet, match it and look for the option which matches your answer in the sheet. Your time starts 3, 2, 1 right now. Very good, so here goes the answer, option D. And I'll tell you one thing, children. 2 things are very famous here, right? One, if you see, is Rhizopus. Of course, it's a bread mold, A3. Okay, now A3, when you consider, there are 2 options, so just wait. Now, another famous thing here is Agaricus, which is a mushroom, which you all know. D is 1. Again, if you see, only one option is having D as 1. So, you cannot conclude here. Let it be. Now, we know the answer, but also fill in Ustilago and Pasinia. Ustilago is nothing but, what is that? The rust which you see in the corn, right? Ustilago is nothing but the smut fungus, which infects the corn. Pasinia, the rust fungus. Okay? So, that is seen in wheat and all. Yeah? So keep that in your mind. Yeah, so Rhizopus bread mold, Ustilago smut fungus in the corn, Pasinia rust fungus in the wheat, and Agaricus is mushroom. Inhibition of succinic dehydrogenase enzyme by malonate is a classical example of feedback inhibition, competitive inhibition, enzyme activation, cofactor inhibition. Your time starts 3, 2, 1 right now. This is an easy question. Okay, The answer is competitive inhibition. Why is it so called competitive inhibition? Here, the inhibitor, which is malonyate, it resembles succinate, right? The substrate. And there is a competition between both, right, for the binding site. So this is competitive inhibition. The inhibitor is resembling the substrate and going and attaching with the binding site. So see, malonate is a substance that blocks the action of the enzyme succinic dehydrogenase. It does this by competing with succinate. The enzyme's normal substrate is succinate, okay, for active site. Since malonate has a shape similar to succinate, it fits into enzyme's active site and prevents the real substrate from binding. So this is a classic example of competitive inhibition. Formation of interfascicular cambium from fully developed parenchymal cells is an example of redifferentiation, dedifferentiation, maturation, differentiation. Such an important and an easy question also. Your time starts 3, 2, 1 right now. Yeah, so the answer is dedifferentiation, right? So children, differentiation is nothing but the meristematic cells when they take up a permanent shape, size and function and lose their ability to divide and they become permanent cells, right? Simple or complex permanent. So that is differentiation. Now here in this case, the parenchymal cells are becoming meristematic again. This is dedifferentiation, right? The opposite of differentiation. So that's what they are saying. So initially it will become interfascicular cambium, right? And then it joins with the fascicular cambium and plays an important role in secondary growth. Yeah, so the answer is dedifferentiation. Hope you all enjoyed, okay? And children, if you have any queries, need to discuss any particular question paper, you can put in the comment box, or else if you want to contact, you can contact the mail ID hdlearns@gmail.com for any feedback and queries. Always welcome. Hope you all enjoyed the session and wait for the next PYQ marathon for the next set of 10 questions. Tada, bye-bye and take care. Do not forget to like and subscribe.